Thanks for checking into the State of Basketball podcast. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here each and every week with Jaron Wilt, and we're going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana because 49 states.
It's just basketball.
So we caught a game this week in person.
Yeah, wasn't a college game, but it was a game.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do when none of the teams are playing?
Yeah, it was Friday night. No teams, none of our 11 schools were playing, so we had that opportunity to catch a Friday night lights. Was technically under the lights.
Sure.
But a Friday night rivalry high school basketball game.
Yep. Crosstown rivalry. Fort Wayne Southside and Fort Wayne Northside were playing each other. Didn't know what to expect going in.
I didn't do any research on either team.
Yeah,
to know what their records were or who even their best player on each team was.
Right. Didn't know if it was going to be a blowout. I mean, anything can happen in a rivalry game.
Oh yeah.
Impressed, first of all.
Yeah.
With both teams.
Yeah. Both teams, they played hard ball. They had very, very different team composition.
Yeah.
The center for Northside was probably 6'3", 6'2", but 250.
Yeah, he was a big guy.
He was a big workhorse, and then the center for Southside was like 6'7", tall, skinny, lengthy kid.
Yeah.
So it was very, very interesting to see how they battled throughout the entire game.
Yeah. Northside relied a lot more on their wings and Southside more on their center and a little more guard heavy, but it was a great game, an overtime game.
Yeah.
We've said it before. We love free basketball.
Free basketball is the best basketball.
Didn't know what we were getting into, but we ended up coming out of it with free basketball. We caught the game at Southside. Southside did lose in overtime, but the way the game started at first,
Southside was down pretty. They looked like they were lost on the court.
It didn't look like we were going to be getting any free basketball, let alone good basketball. And then they just came back and, the end of the first half just came back, fought back, and had the lead, and I kind of choked it. Yeah.
What was interesting to me is, and if you don't know, high school basketball in Indiana, there's no shot clock.
Unfortunately,
I think the shot clock is an important part of the game. But at the end of the game, when Northside was kind of making a run and putting a lot of pressure on Southside was just playing too. They looked lost. They were scrambled. They were just trying to force shots.
Yeah, and
they were trying to play fast, which didn't make sense because they had the lead.
They were up by one with a minute or less left. And they were just giving up turnovers, and then they were trying to score, which you don't need to do.
They were forcing shots to they're trying to extend the lead rather than maintain the lead.
Yeah. And
I think if they would have just used the game clock to their advantage and played slow, get plays running.
Yeah.
The game might have been completely different.
Especially because with, no time limit, if the play doesn't work, reset it, run something else. I mean, it sucks that that is an option,
right?
And it's nice that it's nice from a viewership standpoint that they didn't just sit there and milk the clock.
I agree,
but I mean, if it's there, exploit it. I guess
use it to your advantage for
especially because it cost them the game, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. I would agree.
But it was great. I haven't seen a high school basketball game yet this year. We went to one last year.
Yeah, coincidentally, it was Southside playing. No, it was 2 years ago. No, we did see one last year. Yeah, we saw one last year. I was thinking 2 years ago we saw Lawrence North, who was led by CJ Gunn from Indiana, also play Southside. So
we were at the state finals too.
Yeah. So we saw two games last year.
Okay, so
wow,
just checking in on the state.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I mean, a great game. If you haven't been to a high school game in a while, try and get to one. It's just nice to support the kids, support the community, get out there and see. I mean, I didn't expect it to be super intense, but I was wrong entirely. Yeah. I mean, it was, my ears were ringing all night.
Yeah, my throat was just absolutely destroyed because not from cheering, but just trying to talk to each other about the game while watching the game, and there were people around us screaming and cheering.
Yeah,
we had to talk a little loud to hear each other.
Yeah, props to Northside student section. They really brought it. I think they were much more effective than Southside's, and they had a smaller section, but they brought it. They were loud the whole time, and it paid off for Northside. So
Absolutely.
Well, should we move on up?
Yeah, let's talk about our power rankings. So we said it last week. There's not going to be a lot. We don't think there will be a lot of movement over the next couple months, just because conference play has started. Teams are playing more opponents that are more to their skill level.
Things are starting to solidify.
Teams are starting to click. They're getting into their groove. We're really seeing what a team is going to be able to do throughout the course of the season.
Yeah.
So starting off with our power rankings, to no surprise, Purdue stayed number 1.
Shocker.
Indiana State stayed 2. Butler stayed 3. Our big switch was Purdue-Fort Wayne moved up to the 4 spot, previously from the 5 spot last week. And as a result, Indiana, after taking a tough loss, moved down from 4 to 5. And then Evansville stayed at 6, Notre Dame 7, then rounding out the bottom 4, Ball State 8, Valpo 9, Southern Indiana 10, and then IUPUI.
Yeah, so just had Indiana and Purdue-Fort Wayne switching.
Yeah, and that was really our only change.
Yeah, kind of got to when Indiana does what they did this week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little later, but it was we feel that it was warranted.
Yeah,
this week
for sure.
But let's talk about Ball State. So they moved up in KenPom.
Yes,
they are 252 currently. They went 2-0 this week, which brings their record to an 8-2 over this first 10 games of the season.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing for them is that they got something that they've been looking for, and that's a road win.
Absolutely.
They've just been boat raced on the road all year.
Their 2 losses are on the road.
Yeah.
So the fact that they kind of had that chip on their shoulder going into Detroit Mercy, I think regardless of the ability of the opponent.
Yeah, because Detroit Mercy's not good.
No.
I don't think they have a win, or maybe they're like 1 or 2 wins, but they're not good. They just lost the second leading scorer in college basketball ever.
History, yeah. So it was good. It wasn't a big win. They won by 3.
Right.
But it's a road win. They've got that experience now. They can take that in. They can build momentum on that road win and take that into conference play once the winter break ends for the students here in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. So Detroit Mercy 0-9, but that's just like a morale win. You got to see that you can win on the road. It doesn't matter where. If you can't win at Detroit Mercy, you're not going to go think that you can go win at Kent State.
Right. Exactly. And it's interesting though, because Ball State, they didn't take their first lead of the game until there was 1:35 left.
Yeah.
They played either tied or behind most of the game. That just shows that they stayed poised. They knew it. Their job, obviously, going into that game was to win. Not only because it was a road game, but just in general, they needed that win, because you can't lose to an 0-8 team going into the game. Or, 0-9 team. I guess they were 0-9 after the game.
Yeah.
So it was good to see them, pull it off. Obviously, Jihad had a great game.
From the area.
He's from the area. He's from Detroit. Had a big showing there. A lot of family friends, a lot of buddies that showed out. He was also the reigning Mid-American Conference co-player of the week, so he kind of had to live up to that honor. He did have his 2nd consecutive double-double, his 3rd double-double of the year. So that was great. He set a new career high. Blocked shots with 3. So he really, in front of the hometown fans, he played like he needed to play.
He played like he was not going to lose back home.
Exactly.
And he made it happen.
Yeah.
I've got a free throw for you here about Detroit Mercy. So Detroit Mercy Arena is called Callahan Hall.
Yep.
What's their court's name? What's the name of their court? It seems like there's no reason you should know it.
Callahan Court.
No. That's a good guess, though, because some people want it to be called Callahan Court, namely his family. Callahan, very important to the school. Obviously, he's got a building named after him, the arena. Their floor is actually Dick Vitale floor.
Interesting.
Dick Vitale Court. He was a coach there for 4 years.
Okay. I did not realize that, actually.
So he coached there for 4 years, and it was actually kind of controversial to some people, some Detroit Mercy supporters, because he was only there for 4 years. I don't know if he's ever been back. He hasn't been a booster. And so some people were like, shouldn't it be Callahan Court? Like, he's done way more for the university. But the administration who made the decision like 4 or 5 years ago basically was like, well, we named it because he is like part of our family.
Yeah.
And it's for like what he's done for basketball as a whole, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
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 But, I definitely can see some people being upset about that being reasonable too. But fun fact, Dick Vitale Court is right up in Detroit.
Interesting.
I know.
Good for him. Big Dickie P guy over here. So
yeah, hope he continues to get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
That struggle with cancer is tough.
Yeah, but he's beat it a couple times, and let's hope that everything stays going on a positive uptick.
Give us a that's awesome, baby.
I couldn't do it justice.
No, you don't.
I can't. I would end up disrespecting him and how poorly I tried. So
yeah. So they won. They got that road win, and then now they won at home today against Southern Illinois University Edwardsville, SIUE, and this is the third straight season that they have gone undefeated at home in non-conference games. So that's huge. 19-0.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that this is unfortunate for us because we have witnessed 50% of Lewis's home losses.
Yeah, we have.
It's only one. He's only lost two.
It's only one.
Yeah, he's only lost two.
Only one that we've seen. Yeah. So a lot of the game, they led the entirety of the game.
Yep.
Other than the first 39 seconds until Mason Jones hit a three that put them in the lead, and then they just kind of kept that momentum going.
Jihad, great again. I mean, watching the game, like, it was just his game.
Yeah, absolutely. Another double-double.
Career high
in scoring with 27. And obviously the double to that 27 was 10 rebounds.
Yeah.
So,
and he, like, the dude guarding him got in foul trouble in the first and the second half. They just couldn't guard him. His ability to stretch the floor
is just
too good. I mean, I think it's not unreasonable for him to be the MAC player of the week again. 26 and then 27, 2 wins.
Yeah. Another guy that had a good game, Jalen Anderson.
Yes.
He had 23 points, 5 assists, 4 boards, and went 5 for 9 from 3, which is his season best in 3-pointers made. It also ties his career high in 3-pointers made. So definitely a big nod to him for coming in and hitting those.
He can light it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can kind of be up and down, sometimes, but when he's on, he's on.
Yeah, my guy Ben Hendricks, another double-digit scoring game with 10. So he had 6 boards and 3 assists as well. So he was putting in the work down low.
Yeah,
was good to see. Ever since he got his first start a couple weeks ago, I love it. I love a guy that can
your captain
play there 5 years.
Yeah,
and finally
he gets rewarded.
For his hard work, but also his dedication to the team.
Yeah,
in the transfer era, not a lot of guys stay at a school for that long.
Right,
and he did.
Good for him.
It's
man.
paying off.
Well, let's. Great week for Ball State, and another good week for our next team, Butler.
Yeah.
They also went 2-0. They are 8-2, just like Ball State. They won against Buffalo, and they won in a double overtime thriller against Cal.
Free basketball.
Double free basketball, man. 2 scoops. They actually sorry. So really great really great games for them, Very happy to see that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just their overtime ability to just stick with it is incredible.
Yeah.
I just like that, what they have the game last week. Texas Tech
where Posh got his
triple double. I mean, there's just no quit in this team. I mean, you can tell it's
they're going to play a full 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're going to play as many minutes as it takes to pull the win off.
Yeah.
If the game is tied at the end of 40.
Thad's going to get it out of this team. Clearly, you
yeah.
can tell it's one of his teams. But Jalen Thomas in the Buffalo game and Ja Telfort had 18 points, and Telfort was actually close to a triple-double. So a lot of people in the state getting close to triple-doubles. Braden Smith's been close. Robbie Avila was on triple-double watch. Posh got one.
Yeah.
And then Telfort was close with 8 assists and 9 boards to add to his 18 points.
And of those assists and boards, those were both, he matched career highs with 9 rebounds, 8 assists. He also matched a career high in steals with 4. So a career night for Telfort for sure. And one of the things that I took away from the game is they beat Buffalo. They beat them by 13, I believe. At the end of the game, Thad Matta said, "We weren't very good tonight."
Yeah.
Just from the start, we weren't as sharp as we needed to be. We didn't play as hard as we needed to. We didn't play as smart as we needed to. We have to get better. That's the bottom line. We have to play better. And I love that from a coach. Mm-hmm. Regardless of who your opponent is, what the result of the game is, obviously they won by double digits, and he's still identifying those things that they need to improve on. I think that's the mark of a good coach to me, and obviously we know Thad Matta is a great coach. And the fact that he still acknowledged those things. Because any coach after a win can say, "Oh yeah, we played great. We pulled it off. We won." Mm-hmm. You can say all those things, which might be kind of considered fluff to reporters. He's keeping it real.
Yeah, he gives them an honest look. And Butler was up 20 in the game, but it was a 5-point game with 4 minutes left. And if you're looking at reasons why Butler went down on Ken Pom, it's because they were supposed to blow Buffalo out of the water.
Yeah,
and they let them hang around on a terrible night for them, but they got it done.
Yeah.
That's what's most important. Just like they got it done against Cal. I mean, Cal's a pretty good team, but Posh had 21 and 6 assists. Telfort had 20. Pierre Brooks had 18 and 7 boards. Just huge nights for a couple of guys.
Yeah. I will say Telfort, he went 1 for 7 from the field, only 2 points in the first half. But he finished with 20 points. Mm-hmm. On 8 for 12 shooting. 13 of those points came in overtime. So he wasn't present, most of the game. And then, like we said, they find ways to win in overtime. The pressure was on, obviously. And he showed up. I think that's huge. Anytime you've got a guy who, regardless of who is coming up with that production, he knew that it had to be him.
Yep.
And he did it. He did it. So
he saw what needed to be done. And he just found it.
Yeah.
After the game, Thad was saying that Cal's 3 through 5, their front line are the best in college basketball now that they're getting healthy. Amac I think he transferred over from Texas Tech, but he started over at Cal. He came back, followed his coach over to Cal. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's just a really, really good win because when their front line is so heavy, that could be a struggle for Butler, who plays so small.
Yeah.
Plays so guard heavy.
Yep.
Could really go either way. But they got it done. And an interesting thing about this game is that they played Cal last year.
Okay.
So a year ago, they played, and Butler won 82-58, but the only player who played in both games is Cal's Grant Newell. He's the only player who got minutes in both games.
Okay.
So if you were unsure what the transfer portal era looks like,
it's that.
The two teams played almost exactly a year ago to the date, and only one player played in both. That's insane.
That's insane. And actually, speaking of, talking about playing last year, it was actually 76-2 over its last 78 non-conference home games. So obviously they played at Cal last year, presumptively, and they've won 14 straight non-conference home games. So we've said it. Hinkle
magic, man.
It's a difference maker. It's hard for teams to go into Hinkle and win, and I think that little kind of stat I found shows it.
It's the most Indiana gym.
Oh, absolutely.
Assembly Hall, really nice, and Mackey's really nice, but Hinkle just feels
different.
Like Indiana.
Yeah. When you think about old historic
Yeah.
basketball arenas in the state of Indiana,
Talking,
Hinkle is top 5, and they're not 4 through 5. Or they're not 2 through 5. They're number 1.
Yeah, for sure.
So Evansville did not play as great. They went 0-1 this week. They lost to BYU. They're still 7-2 on the year. They had a little bit of a drop in KenPom. They're at 212 presently.
But BYU
is a really good
They're a
team.
top 10 KenPom team. BYU just lost to Utah last night. But rivalry game, I mean, anything can happen in a rivalry game. It was close. It was like a 4-point loss.
Yeah.
But they went down in KenPom because they were supposed to lose to BYU, of course, because they were playing out in Provo.
Yep.
But they got destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, it was not even close.
Yeah, I mean, BYU shot 52% from the field. Evansville shot 33%. BYU was 14 for 32 from 3. And that's gonna kill a team.
Yeah. They Humberhouse had 8 and Strawbridge had 6. So BYU clearly knew the scouting report.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about a Jimmy Chitwood Player of the Week winner here, almost 2-time.
Right.
And they said, nah, not today.
Yep.
Great performance by BYU, especially because they were projected to be 13th in the Big 12. The first team to ever be picked 13th in the Big 12.
Yep.
And they're in first, and they're leading and could potentially win it. It's a tough conference, but Oklahoma and BYU came in. I mean, just terrible shooting by them.
Well, let's look at this. So
Evansville.
By Evansville, yeah. Evansville, they scored 55 points, right? They lost 96-55. Evansville was averaging over their first 8 games 85.6 points.
So not good.
Not good. If that tells you anything about how they played, not great.
I mean, BYU just gave it to them.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Ragland, he said it. He said, you give a team an inch, they'll take a mile, and that's what they did. On the road, you have to be 15 points better than the other team. You can't spot them any kind of lead, and especially a good team like BYU. So that's what BYU did. They had an inch, and they took about 3 miles.
Yeah, when you shoot 33% from the field, 17 from 3, it's just they're different. They're on different levels.
Yeah.
I mean, Evansville can be up there, competing in the MVC. And Indiana State's probably even on another level from Evansville. But then you've got BYU, which is then on another level from there. So just a tough game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Toomey had 13 and Antonio Thomas had 10. So shout out to them for picking up the slack when the team was clearly rattled.
That's almost 50% of their scoring.
Yeah. And it
with
was
a combined 23.
Yeah.
So not great. Another not great game was Indiana versus Auburn. Talk about that here in a second. Let's talk about Indiana's win against Michigan.
Okay. So they went in this week. They went 1-1. Yep. They won at Michigan. So they're 2-0 in the Big Ten now.
Big conference road win.
Yeah. Michigan's a tricky team.
Yeah.
Don't know if they're good. They were not projected to be really good, and then they started playing really well, and everyone was like, oh, Michigan's good. And then they just took some weird losses then, and everyone's like, no, Michigan's not good.
Yeah, I mean, they were I think a middle of the pack projected Big Ten team.
Yeah. At best.
At best, yeah. Yeah. So
but I mean, a road win in the Big Ten
goes a long way.
Yeah, it's very hard to do.
Yeah.
And Indiana got one. They won by 3, 78-75.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan's still without Juwan Howard. I maintain that Phil Martelli's a better coach than Juwan Howard, but it's just got to be a weird situation.
Well, it's weird. What's weird to me about it is Juwan has taken a step back because he had heart surgery.
Yeah, understandably.
But he's still. What's weird to me is he's still on the bench.
Yeah,
and he's still in the huddles, but he's behind the team. He's almost in that assistant coach role in the huddles, which I think if I was a head coach, that'd be hard for me to just sit there and listen to the interim head coach. Not that I wouldn't agree with what the interim head coach was saying, but just you're so used to leading those huddles and you're there, but you're not taking that active role. That'd be hard.
Yeah. So I guess the whole reason has probably got to be they don't want to get his blood pressure up.
Which
he can't.
Makes sense.
You can't be screaming and yelling, for 40 minutes.
Absolutely.
Malik Renew, 15. Ware had 13. Galloway had 9. Very typical shooting night for them.
Yeah. CJ Gunn stepped up big. Not a guy that you'd expect to have a big game.
Yeah.
He should be one of those guys off the bench. But he had a season high 8 points. He had 4 steals. He was very active defensively, and I'll maintain that IU won that game because of the defensive effort that CJ Gunn was putting in. Because some of his steals came late in the game.
They were
when the game was on the line.
Yeah, and he hit his first 2 threes of the season, which was nice. He hadn't hit one, and he's was recruited as a shooter. We saw him in person 2 years before he was at IU.
Indiana. Yep.
But they were able to stop Doug McDaniel, so credit to Cups and credit to Gunn.
That's a tough defensive assignment for Cups to pick up as a freshman guard guarding one of the guys that's regarded as a top point guard in the conference. He was also Michigan's leading scorer, averaging 20.3 points a game. He scored 13. So
yeah, it was nice to see that they were able to pick up some slack, because that's a guy that you would expect Xavier Johnson to be guarding, but you're still without Xavier Johnson. So you would expect now, okay, is Galloway going to guard him so that he doesn't go for 35? But Galloway had to pick up the other guard. I don't remember his name. Anyway, CJ Gunn stepped up, Gabe Cup stepped up, but that's not a game where you would expect those people to do that, because in a Big Ten road game, you look to your senior leaders. You look to maybe Anthony Walker, just because he's been in college for so long. You look for Galloway, X is out, but shouts to the deep bench coming in.
My play of that game was the very last play of the game. Khalil Ware picked up a huge steal. It was seconds left on the clock.
Yeah,
Michigan was inbounding the ball from the IU baseline. The goal was throw a pass, three-quarter court, full court to get a shot off. 7 foot, Khalil Ware. This is courtesy of associate head coach Kenya Hunter. It was his idea. He said, he's 7 foot, stick him on the inbounder.
Genius.
Stick his tall butt on the inbounder.
It worked.
And Khalil Ware jumped about 4 feet off the ground, got the block that secured Indiana's win.
And he jumped early too.
Yeah, he jumped early and still
got it. He was
still
up
got
there.
it. Yeah.
Did you see the dude on Twitter who
for every like or every retweet,
every 5 likes or whatever, he photoshopped him higher, and he was going, and he was all right, we're in outer space now. I'm gonna have to move to the multiverse.
yeah. It was those were pretty offerings.
Offerings,
awesome. Wow.
Auburn, a good old fashioned ass beating.
Oh yeah.
Straight up.
I mean, Mike Woodson said it. Auburn got their confidence going, and once they smacked us around a little bit, Indiana just stopped playing.
So this has got to be the worst loss of his coaching career.
Easily.
At Indiana.
Easily.
I mean, they didn't even look like, they got beat already by UConn. They got beat last year by Kansas and Arizona. Got beat by Miami in the NCAA tournament. Huge losses, but this one just they didn't even look like they belonged.
Oh no!
And the pressure just took them out.
And that's a big reason why they dropped in our power rankings.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put up that performance and stay above the PFW team with 1 loss.
Yeah. I mean, let's put it into perspective for anyone. If you didn't watch the game, Indiana had a 12-point lead.
Yeah, they were
in the first half.
22-10 right out of the gate.
Auburn went on a 33-6 run, which cut that 12-point deficit into an 18-point lead for Auburn at halftime.
I just don't get how that happens. I truly don't understand it. And
I mean, this game to me showed more than ever that they need to get Xavier Johnson back on the court.
Yeah,
because he's a guy that he wouldn't let that. It could still happen, right? But he would do his damnedest. He's a guy that doesn't quit.
Yeah.
Right? When they get down, he's the energy guy that keeps them up, and that he takes that added pressure.
And he can attack the basket.
Yeah. Yeah.
When Galloway went out with his 2 fouls,
which I don't agree with. I think he should have stayed in the game, but they
had no one who could attack the basket.
Yeah.
And also, going back to when they were up 22-10, they had that 12-point lead. Mike Woodson goes in with his like hockey line changes and throws in just way too many subs.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
I get it.
I get that he's trying to, give the big guys, the workhorses, and Renew and Baco and Ware some rest.
Sub
Malik
out. Yeah. Sub Malik out. Put Walker in. Put Malik back in. Then have
Take
Malik
Ware
run the
out.
5.
Yeah.
Put Peyton in there. You have so many pieces down low that you can just sub one in at a time. And then, maybe you throw CJ Gunn in for cups and you have 2 and then you work them back in.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he's still subbing like that, because it's everyone's first complaint. They bring it up all the time in the press conferences. It just doesn't work. And you look at where they lose games.
That's a big part
with
of it.
The subs. I mean, sometimes you have your subs playing their subs, but their starters were still out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Galloway and Mackenzie Mbako led the team in plus minus. If you don't know what plus minus is, it's basically when you're on the floor, if your team scored 5 more points than the other team while you were on the floor, you have a plus minus of plus 5. So it's whichever team scored more. So every single person on the team was negative in plus minus. No. They led the team with a -5.
Oh, okay.
That's terrible.
That is terrible.
Banks played 16 minutes, was -23. Cups played 31 minutes, was -21. Malik and Gunn were -17, and Ware was -14.
Goes back to what you said previously. Good old fashioned ass beating.
Seriously, I mean.
But let's talk about another ass beating.
2.
Yes. Indiana State. They went 2-0 this week. Moved up in KenPom. They're at 54. So they are our second highest KenPom rated team. They won over Northern Illinois, 90-67. They won over Southern Indiana, 98-54. Against Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
They played well. Isaiah Swope led the Sycamores for his first Division I double-double.
Mm-hmm.
So he's another guy. He's a guy that transferred in and had not played Division I previously. Scored 27 points. He had a career high 10 rebounds.
Free throw. Where'd Swope transfer from?
We talked about this. Remember?
Division II, Southern Indiana.
That's right.
So right. He actually transferred from Southern Indiana and did not play in the Southern Indiana game. So he didn't get to play his old team.
Dang. It happens. But, Swope, talk about him one more time. He has made 4 or more three-pointers in 7 of Indiana State's 9 games. He also recorded 1 steal. Now has at least 1 steal in 8 of the 9 games this season. So he's doing it on both ends.
The team as a whole looks really good, and he's playing super, super well.
Yeah. Yep. It was their 6th 90-point game this season too. So
yeah, they can score. I don't know what needs to be done. They need to be doing. They need to have some sort of draft pick trade with Indiana University and get some of these shooters on IU, because Indiana hasn't been able to shoot for years, and Indiana State's just down the road in Terre Haute. Like, what's your guys' problem? We're out here lighting it up. We're like leading the country in 3-point shooting, basically. And just go ahead.
I was saying, and not even lighting it up just from 3-point. They were lighting up from the free throw line this game. They went a perfect 13 for 13 for the first time this season. And now here's a little free throw for you. Since the 2016-2017 season, how many perfect games has Indiana State had from the line?
Hit me with that again.
So since 2016-2017,
okay,
that season, how many perfect games has Indiana State had from the free throw line?
I'm going to say 7.
4. So they went 9 for 9 on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2018. They went 9 for 9 February 28th, 2020.
Okay.
They went 5 for 5 against University of Northern Illinois in 2022. And then in March of 2023, went 8 for 8 against Evansville.
Wow.
So that's impressive.
Yeah.
Obviously, in Indiana, games are won at the free throw line. And having a high free throw percentage is a mark of basketball in this great state.
Mm-hmm. The thing about them is they're just so good at shooting. Like right here on Ken Palm, Indiana State, as it sits right now on December 10th, is number 1 in effective field goal percentage at 61.7. They are number 5 in 3-point percentage and number 6 in 2-point percentage and 55th in free throw percentage. That is an offensive juggernaut.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Schertz has got this. I like this team, man. I think
Schertz knows ball.
I think that we talked about at the beginning of the season, talking about how just winning translates.
Yeah. Yep.
And clearly, what he was doing down in D2 is translating.
Oh yeah.
Just fine. It's he's just no, I just got better players now.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Southern Indiana game.
Yep.
It was
rivalry.
An in-state rivalry, another good old-fashioned ass beating. Indiana State, they kicked off the season. They're 9-1, 2-0 in the Missouri Valley Conference. The second straight season under Schertz where they have stood 9-1 overall and have started the season 2-0 in league play. So Schertz knows ball.
He came in the first year, struggled, and then just got it going. Avila had 18 in the Southern Indiana game. He only played 23 minutes. Pretty close to, a point a minute.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Conwell, Larry, and Daughtry all had 15. Daughtry had 11 boards. Larry had 5 assists and boards too. Just filling up the stat sheet. Shot almost 50% from the field and almost 40% from 3. And they almost doubled him up on rebounds.
Yeah.
48 to 28.
48 to 28. And actually, that's the largest rebound margin of the season, but also the record for the largest margin under Coach Schertz's Division I history. So big plays on the blocks, on the boards. And another was also a 44-point margin was win margin, right? Was the highest margin under Coach Schertz. The first was set against, it's the ties the highest margin under Schertz, which came against Old Dominion in 20.
And they did it without Swope.
Yeah,
they did it without one of their best scorers.
Yep,
one of their impressive guards, and they were still able to win by 44. That's tough, man.
Yeah,
I think if you're talking about teams that are going to win the Missouri Valley, you're talking about Indiana State, and then you're saying, well, maybe Bradley, maybe Drake.
You're talking about Indiana State, and you're talking about who could potentially keep up with Indiana State.
So it's Indiana. I don't want to say it's like Indiana State's to lose, but it might be.
Yeah.
Right now, they're in firm control of the conference right now.
Absolutely. Who's not in firm control of the conference?
They're not in control of a lot of things right now, dude.
IUPUI, they are 354 in Ken Palm, which if you're keeping track at home, there are 362
minus 354. Okay. They're 8 from the bottom?
Yeah, that's...
Now, remind me again, where'd they sit for a lot of the season last year?
Second to last.
They bounced around the bottom 10.
Yeah. Yeah. It was not great. They got absolutely dominated by Eastern Illinois. They lost 75-58. It was bad. Eastern Illinois out-rebounded IUPUI. They had no business on the boards. There was a 38-24 margin, and they were outscored in the paint 52-38. So IUPUI has no interior presence. And I think we've talked about that several times before. It was just not great. They
just feel like they're not a team.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like it's dudes who are out. They just like rolled the ball out there. You're basically like, if you wanted to just think of like, okay, if IUPUI is playing tonight, what do I expect? I expect Counter to shoot a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I expect him to get 15 plus,
Yeah.
and then who knows what else is going to happen? They're probably going to lose. That's the way the season has gone. That's the way the season went last year.
Absolutely.
It was just like they lose all these games. Counter gets his points.
No one else does.
All game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they don't have anyone else who's stepping up. Counter had 19 in this game, and he had 6 rebounds, and the next highest was Brady Vincent, and DJ Jackson was 7. Counter was surprisingly efficient in this game, 8 for 12, and he shot 100% from 3. And he had half of their threes, but one of their 2.
But get this. So Vincent Brady started the game. He drilled a 3-pointer on the opening possession of the game, right? IUPUI then missed 11 straight threes over the course of the game until the 2:35-minute mark in the second half when Counter hit his 3.
Yeah, so what is that, like 36 minutes, 37 minutes almost without a 3?
Yeah. It was also Vincent Brady's first start of the season. So good for him for quite literally starting his first start effectively.
Yeah.
By hitting that 3.
I mean, they were down like 13 at one point and then got it up to like a 6-point game, but their shooting numbers were atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even want to read them off. We talked about how bad they are at just shooting.
Yeah.
And it showed in this game.
Yeah.
It sucks because we said it before, we said it again. This is a team that was pretty, like, had a lot of people together on this team last year.
You would expect them to take that experience together and translate.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't know what it is, but it's not working.
Yeah.
Crenshaw's got to figure something out.
Yeah. I mean, is it Crenshaw? Is it the school itself? I mean, they've been down for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there'll be more support when they're IUI or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe it's the whole. Okay, I've got it out. People don't want to commit somewhere that's a 5-letter acronym.
True.
They're like,
ooey pooey.
Yeah.
What? Ew.
I don't even know how to read this.
Yeah. But you know what I do know how to read? Notre Dame's playbooks.
Okay.
Actually, I don't. I don't have access because I don't have enough space to.
Yeah, your hard drive.
I don't have enough space on my hard drive to hold that many plays. But Notre Dame, they moved up in KenPom. They're at 169 now. They went 1-1 this week. They're 4-5 on the season. But I want to note that one loss came to Marquette. So not a game that we expected them to win.
No, and I think they were
not
projected.
a game that we expect many people to win.
Yeah, Wisconsin rivalry game. Pulled it out of nowhere, but I mean, I think they were supposed to lose by more, which is what helped them go up in KenPom.
Yeah. Yep.
But it did not look like they were going to. Let's talk about Western Michigan first. Yep. Tay Davis, career high 19, 10 assists or 10 rebounds. Marcus Burton had 17 and 6 assists. And Braden Shrewsbury with 4 3-pointers. Nice.
He also had a career high scoring. Isn't really a career high when it's his first season, but he had 14 points. Excuse me, no, he had 16 points, and he was 4 for 6 from 3. So he's finally hitting those threes that he is the specialist of. He's their 3-point shooting specialist.
Because he's an Indiana kid, man. Dad's an Indiana coach. It's in his blood.
Yeah. Yep.
So in this game, like, they shot really well. They shot 60% from the floor and almost like 40% from 3. It was like kind of close at half, but then they just blew the doors off them in the end.
Yeah, I mean, Roper, he hit a buzzer beater 3 to end the first half, and then they just carried that momentum into the second half. They started Burton and Davis. They helped lead a 15-4 run to start the second half. So they
you wonder if that was like that 3 going in was defeating to
Western Michigan.
Yeah, Western Michigan. Just like, oh, we're only down 3 guys, it's fine, and we're down 6. Yeah. It reminds me of when Purdue was playing with the Marquette. Then when they were playing Marquette and Maui.
Oh yeah.
And Lance Jones nails that 80-footer.
Yeah.
And it's like, Oh,
it's got to be demoralizing.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's like you're thinking you're taking this manageable lead.
Everything you did, you just is even 3 points more.
Yeah,
but Marquette game. Let's talk about it. If you turned this off, understandably, in the first 5-6 minutes, I don't blame you, because they were down 17-0 and had 8 turnovers in the first 7 minutes.
Notre Dame didn't get their first basket until the 12:53 mark in the first half.
And then they scored, and then Marquette immediately scored. So then it was 19-2. It was like...
Yeah, I mean, at the 11:30 media timeout, it's Notre Dame had 10 turnovers, 4 of which were shot clock violations. And if you're down 21-2 at the under 12 media timeout, you just what are you doing on that court? Like, that's almost worse than Indiana's loss.
Well,
as collectively, obviously Notre Dame turned it on a little bit more in the second half. It was...
I don't even know if that's exactly the case. I mean, yes, they found some more opportunities, but this was a 19-point game. This was not a 19-point game.
Yeah.
Holy crap. They were down 30 at halftime.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was Shrewsbury figures some stuff out. He's a great coach.
Right.
He can only do so much against a Marquette team with the pieces that he has, admittedly.
Yeah.
But Shaka Smart had to have been like, guys, we stepped on their throat a little too hard. I know you're mad we lost to Wisconsin, but we don't need to punish them.
Yeah.
It was not as close as 19 points.
No. But, that's just how the ball bounces sometimes. Just on their face.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a team that didn't have an extremely disappointing game. Purdue Fort Wayne. They went up in KenPom. They're 153 now. They went 2-0 this week. They're sitting at 10-1, which is like their best start.
Yep, best start in the Division I era.
Yeah.
And their second best start since the 88,
where they started
89
they started 9-0.
11-0.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah.
So
and then I'm pretty sure the team that went 11-0 then lost the next 2. So they were 11-2. So if this team can get to 11-1, it's awesome.
If they can get to 12-1, I think that is the mark of a good work start to the season. Mm-hmm. They won over Southern Indiana.
Yeah, Southern Indiana just only in-state matchups this week.
That's just their only opponents. But
it was a 13-point game. They won 70-57.
Yep.
And
go ahead.
They didn't play well.
Ooh.
They didn't shoot well at all, and they let Southern Indiana stick around.
Little background on this rivalry, though. It was the first win for the Macedons on the road over Southern Indiana since 1992.
Yeah,
so
long time rivals when they were D2
in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. Yeah, but the Dons have now won 2 games over Southern Indiana in the last 2 seasons. So obviously they won at home last year, and then their first win since '92 on the road.
Yeah, they struggled from 3, shot like 25%, 18-25 from the line. That's okay.
They struggled defensively too, though, in the first half. They only forced 6 turnovers in the first half. They also turned the ball over 6 times. And mind you, going into this game, DFW was averaging 19 turnovers per game. They were forcing 19 turnovers on their opponents per game. So picked it up in the second half. They got 12 turnovers. They ended up with 18 total. Had 8 steals.
So they were down 12 in the first half, and I don't know if you saw this, but Quentin Robertson got ejected. Did you see this?
I didn't.
He got ejected, and I didn't know what happened. He got ejected, so I checked Twitter. Someone who was there was like double middle fingers to the bench.
Iconic.
Iconic. I mean, thoughts?
I'm here for it.
Do we like the fire? Is that too far?
I love the fire.
I mean, a lot of people. You see people get technicals for like the shushing the bench.
Yeah.
Double middle fingers is
That's a power
different.
play. That's a power play.
Play of the game or play of the week this week. Rashid Bello out there with a shoe block. Never seen that before.
No, shoe fell off in the middle of a play. He picked it up so no one tripped over it. And then he was still guarding the guy with one shoe, which is impressive enough to guard a guy with one shoe because you lose so much lateral mobility.
You have no traction in those socks.
And usually a shoe's like kicked off to the side or someone picks it up and kind of throws it over to the bench or the sideline. And no, he just picked it up, kept it in his hand, guarded the guy, and got an extra, let's say he wears a size 12, got an extra foot of reach on.
It's huge
on the block.
It's incredible. I thought I had seen it all when I saw Devontae Green lose a shoe and then just holding the shoe in one hand and he swatted the ball from someone, got a steal. Thought that was impressive, but literally blocking it with your shoe, iconic.
Yeah. But it was we said it, poor shooting night from them. It's their lowest shooting percentage of the season.
Yeah.
So not great, but again, they got the win. They also got the win over SEMO.
Yes, they did.
And here's my question to you. Is Evansville better than PFW based on the SEMO game?
Absolutely not.
Remember, Evansville beat SEMO twice by 19.
PFW, 19 both times.
Both times,
for our listeners who don't remember. They beat SEMO twice.
And PFW only won by 9. So, transitive property, does that make Evansville better than PFW? I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's the transitive property and then there's the eye test.
Eye test wins most times.
Yeah, you always got to trust the eye test. Better shooting night this time. 50% from the floor, 7 from 14 from 3.
Did not shoot well from the free throw line. They were 26 of 41.
Yeah, that's awful.
And
so give them half of those back.
Yeah. Here's a free throw for you. Free throw about free throws.
Okay.
When was the last time that the Dons took 40 free throws in a game? Have any guesses?
2012.
Close. 4 years off. 2016, November 11th. They did it against Arkansas. So I saw that was interesting. 40 free throws is a lot of free throws.
Yeah, that feels
and
like
missing almost half of them is just not great. Yeah. But
Zach Edey might shoot 40 free throws someday.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't miss half of them.
Yeah.
Good win. It was like back and forth in the first half, but it went on a run in the second half and just kind of put them away from there. So proud of them. I really like the Mastodon team. I think they're sitting in a good spot, heading into conference play here soon. I think they're in the hunt for Horizon League champs.
I think so.
So I think we're looking at probably 2, if not 3 conference champions in the state. With Indiana State, Purdue, Fort Wayne, and our next team, Purdue.
Yep, moved down in KenPom
for the first time all season. They've been locked in at 2, haven't they?
I thought they were 1 at one point.
Let's see, they've been locked in at 2. Oh, sorry, yeah, they started 1, then 2 for 3 weeks, and now they're 3rd.
Yeah, they did go 2-0 this week, bringing their season total to a 9-1. They beat Iowa 87-68. Then they beat Alabama in Toronto 92-86.
Yeah, they this is another game. The Iowa game is another game where they won by 19, but it was not a 19-point game. No. Iowa is nothing without a Murray or a Luka Garza.
Yep.
They're awful. They look terrible. Iowa just got destroyed by Iowa State too.
Mm-hmm.
They look terrible, and Purdue was like Iowa doesn't guard. Iowa doesn't guard anybody, and so you figure Purdue's had trouble with Iowa in the past because of their pressure and their full court press that they put on. Well, enter Lance Jones, comes in and can break the press no problem. Okay, yeah. Iowa's lost. It was just over. It was over from the jump. Lance Jones had 17. Draykoff and Wren had 10 and 7 because he played a lot.
Yep. Because
Edey did not play a lot. I mean, he played 24 minutes and he got 25 and 12. So that's over a point a minute.
I mean, and here's some interesting kind of nuggets that I came across on Twitter after this game. So Purdue scored on 16 straight possessions. They scored 34 points across 9 minutes of game time. That's 2.125 points per possession. Pretty damn impressive. That's pretty damn
so they're literally
impressive.
Yeah, they're literally. If you just left your team off the floor and just let them dunk it on you, that's less than 2 points per possession.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So a couple more interesting things. You mentioned Lance Jones. Painters brought it up several times. The impact of having 2 ball handlers.
Yeah.
We saw that against Iowa. In the 10-ish minutes that Braden Smith and Lance Jones played together, Purdue outscored Iowa 32-12. They had an offensive points per possession of 1.68, a defensive points per possession 0.67.
Jeez.
They had 8 assists, 2 turnovers.
I was gonna say Purdue, who hurt you, but it was Northwestern.
Oh yeah.
They took this out. I mean, get your Big Ten win, thank God.
I also think I've been saying all year TKR is the glue guy. I think Mason Gillis is, only because Purdue is 20-3 for the past 4 seasons in games where Mason Gillis scores in double figures. He had 12 points in 13 minutes. So
good for him.
Yeah.
The next game was intense.
Yep.
They were down at half to Alabama in Toronto, but this is a game where you knew Edey playing in Toronto, he was not going to lose.
No.
I'm pretty sure he had like 90 friends and family there at the game, got like 90 people tickets, which
sounds right.
Is awesome.
He should have.
Yeah, I mean,
he should have gotten first dibs on.
I'm sure
as
he
many
did.
tickets as he needed.
I'm sure he did, because he's from Canada. I'm sure a lot of the people he knows don't get to see him play.
Right.
I'm not sure what kind of TV networks they get in Canada.
I don't know.
They get an ESPN.
I would assume
they get in Fox. They get Big Ten Plus up there.
Well, Big Ten Plus is a subscription service, so
yeah.
But
11-11 from the line for Edey. He and Mark Sears both had 35. Interesting.
Yeah.
Braden Smith had 27, 8, and 5. That's 62 of their 92 points. Edey ended up in this game past Hummel to be 10th on their all-time scoring list. I don't expect him to come back next year, but I'm not sure how far he is down from 1. But if he came back next year, he'd
maybe 300 or 400. There's a path for him to hit number 1 this season.
Year.
He's just to average 34 points a game or something like that. Which isn't
not
much more than what he's been doing. But so this was Purdue's 32nd straight regular season non-conference game win.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the longest streak of any team since the 2010-2011 season. Previous one was 31 by Villanova in 2015 through 2018. This is the longest since no one has had 32 straight wins since 2010, 2011. The previous longest streak Villanova had from 2015 to 2018.
Okay.
So this is currently, like I just said, the longest since then. The second highest, they're 13 games more than the second highest current active streak.
Okay.
Who do you think is in second place?
Houston?
Arizona. They currently have a streak of 19 wins against non-conference opponents.
That makes sense.
It's interesting because that streak ends for one of these two teams next week.
Saturday.
So I saw that nugget. I was like, it's very there's just something about that is almost cathartic of the two longest streaks actively are going head to head next week.
It feels like a little bit like when we were gonna get Baylor and Gonzaga when they were 1 and 2, and we were supposed to get them in Indy.
Yep.
And then it got canceled because of COVID, and they ended up playing in the Final Four or the national championship game. But it feels a lot like, hearing those two teams, playing each other. You just said for the last game that TKR is your glue guy.
I didn't say the last game. I said I've been saying it all season.
Okay. Well, your glue guy played 10 minutes against Alabama. His plus minus was minus 21.
Yeah, he's...
First and Gillis came in. First was plus 10. Gillis is plus 9. Great for them because that 4 spot's been lacking.
Yep.
This year. It was. There's not a person on earth who thought that Trey Kaufman-Renn wasn't the guy, for the 4 spot. Everyone was like, you're gonna have Zach Edey, and now you got Trey Kaufman-Renn playing alongside him. It's over. GG's for everyone.
Yeah.
And that just hasn't happened. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if he needs to get more minutes. It's not working. I don't know if he needs to just play without Edey. I don't know if it's messing with him or something.
I don't know. After the game, he posted on Instagram on his story a picture of a mountain and then a guy pushing a big old boulder up that mountain, which is
sure, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's not great. And what also is not great? Southern Indiana.
Wait, I got one more nugget.
Okay.
So Alabama was up at half on Purdue, and they hit 13 threes in the first half. They made 16 in the game. So they hit 16. They shot 46.
It's a lot of threes. But that's if your team is going to beat Purdue, you got to beat.
That's the Zach
Edey
effect. Yeah. Sorry, let me amend my statement. They only made 2 twos in the first half. They hit 6 threes in the second half. So they shot so many. They only hit 2 twos in the first half. That's literally just the Zach Edey effect. Everyone getting run to the 3-point line. Yep. But yeah, Southern Indiana. Let's get into it. 0-2 this week.
They lost the PFW by 13.
Surprise.
Which we already talked about.
Yep.
They also lost to Indiana State 98-54, which we also already talked about. Here's my question: is Indiana State? I mean, we probably established this, but Indiana State is better than PFW, right?
Let me go to the power rankings. Yes. Yes.
Just wanted to reaffirm our decision in those rankings, because I think this is the perfect head-to-head to kind of compare. And we've been talking about that over the course of the first 5 episodes, right? Of, we're going to see these kind of head-to-heads, that how the teams compare playing the same when one of our 11 Indiana teams plays another similar opponent.
Yeah.
Like SEMO, for example. But yeah, this is the perfect test.
Yeah. I mean, this team is really struggling. So we talked about this at the beginning of the season. They went 16-17 last year. Lost a lot of pieces. A lot of people transferred somewhere else.
Yep.
Played well. They have 2 wins this year, and none of them are against Division I competition.
Yeah.
Still.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had a couple close ones, but they've had a lot of just absolute beatdowns. I just feel bad for this team, man. They were in it with Duke for a minute, lost. Almost beat Bowling Green. Almost beat LaSalle. Kind of close with Chicago State. Kind of close with St. Louis, but the team's just hard, man. Jeremiah Hernandez had 14 in the PFW game, but he only had 2 in the second half.
Yeah. AJ
Smith had 12 and 15 boards.
It's actually his 4th double-double of the year. So, hey.
15 boards that's like Oscar Shibwe numbers, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oscar Shibwe on a light night in the G League. Oscar Shibwe sleepwalks his way into 15 boards in the G League.
Yeah.
And then Tyron Powell had 10 and 12 boards too. Out-rebounded them.
Yeah. I mean, Powell, like you mentioned, had 10 and 12. That's his 2nd straight double-double. He also blocked a season high of 4 shots. So that's about the only, those 3 or 4 things we just talked about are about the only positive things that came out of the PFW game for Southern Indiana.
And they played ISU. Hernandez had 16. AJ Smith had 12. Hernandez played the whole game with foul trouble. 4 for 19 from 3. I don't know. Started 1 for 12 in the second half.
Yeah. They
still need to do 1 win. That's really all I needed to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, so team that moved up in Ken Palm, Valpo.
With 2 losses, they moved up.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll take it. They lost to Central Michigan, 71-67. So close game. They lost to Virginia Tech by 21, 71-50, bringing their season record to 4-6 after the 0-2 week. I feel like Valpo has a lot of 0-2 weeks.
They do. It's unfortunate because, they're probably going to finish last in the Missouri Valley. But Stan Gerard, right?
Yep. No.
Or Powell. Roger Powell?
Roger Powell.
Valpo ties, I just want to see him do well.
Yep. It you know who did do well? Who I wouldn't say did well necessarily, but got play.
Yeah.
Walk on.
Yeah.
Anthony Scaroni.
Dude,
he had 8 minutes.
Try something.
It's the first minutes he's played in a D1 game outside of the final minute 24 against Illinois, which obviously he was going to get minutes because they were down so big. A lot of it had to do with Jahari Williamson not playing. He didn't play with because he was sick. But hey, love a good walk on getting play.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Schwieger in foul trouble in the Central Michigan game, so he didn't play a ton. He only played 20 minutes, and that really doomed them. They got to have him out there. They lost by 4. If he plays more, I think they win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Auto benching, I just don't agree with in certain cases. Just like as a general rule, I would lean don't auto bench.
If it's a guy, my take on it is if it's a guy that's chronically in foul trouble, like Schwieger. But if it's a guy that maybe only averages 2-3 tops fouls a game, they get if those 2 fouls come in the first half, let him play until he gets that 3rd foul because they don't typically foul that often.
Yeah, like Trey Galloway was in foul trouble. He only had 2 fouls in the game.
Yep.
Schwieger played 20 minutes and had 4 fouls.
Yeah.
But if you're in a tight race, you would rather risk it, I think.
Yeah.
But they were down 22 because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he goes out, they go down 22, and they got it to a 3-point game in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah.
If you have him for more time, you win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Valpo committed, they had 11 first half turnovers, only 3 in the second half. So that's a lot of turnovers for Valpo. They don't typically turn the ball over that often. So if they play their ball like they typically do, not turn the ball over, this game is completely different.
Yeah. Virginia Tech, I expected them to get destroyed, and they kind of did. So
yeah,
about right. Jackson Edwards had 13, Isaiah Stafford had 14, Schwieger had 2. Rough week for Schwieger, man.
Yeah,
hate to see it.
Not great. Listen to this. So from 3, Valpo went 3 for 24. It's 12.5% if you're keeping track at home.
Okay.
Virginia Tech went 10 for 27, 37%. Valpo was outscored by 21 from 3.
Ugh.
Remind me what the margin of victory for Virginia Tech was.
21. 21.
They quite literally lost from 3.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech's a good team. I didn't expect them to win. I didn't really expect it to be competitive either, but I don't know. All right, before we move on to Jimmy Chitwood Player of the Week, take a break. All right, welcome back. I wonder what ad they gave you. I think we're at that point, right? So hopefully you got served a nice ad. And hopefully you buy whatever they're selling, because it will not benefit our show, but it might benefit you with happiness by spending money, because capitalism. Anyway, let's get into the Jimmy Chitwood Player of the Week. Jimmy Chitwood this week, Jaron, is obvious. I've never seen this happen before, so it had to be him. Rasheed Bello of Purdue Fort Wayne. He got a block. This man got a block with a shoe. Dude in the Indiana State or the Southern Indiana game blocked someone with a shoe and added 12 points, 5 rebounds. In the SEMO game, he had 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. So he has the stat line to back up being Jimmy Chitwood, and he has
the play of the week,
play of the week, play of the year, play of the century.
Who knows?
It was insane. I'll probably never see it again in my life.
Nope.
So obviously Jimmy Chitwood. Congrats, Rasheed Bello, for being our week 5 player of the week.
Yep. Let's talk about week 6, right? games that we need to look out for.
We can just change week 6 to be called Saturday December 16th. Because there are 2 games before that.
Yep.
And they don't really matter.
Got a game on Friday. We have 8 games on Saturday.
Yeah. And I mean, that's expected. So this week is going to be just slow for college basketball.
It's finals week for a lot of the players.
Yeah.
So
it's finals week, or finals week just happened.
Yeah. So going into the semester break.
Yep. So they're just kind of relaxing, getting ready
for conference play to really ramp up.
Yep. And you get like, this is like one of the last couple of weekends where we get some really good stuff.
Yeah.
So in-state matchup in Indianapolis. It's part of
I think the Indy Classic
is
what it's called.
It's Ball State playing Indiana State, and it's then also Purdue playing Arizona.
So
it's not an MTE or anything. I mean, I guess technically it's an MTE.
I guess technically it is.
It's not
MTE.
a tournament. The winners don't play the winners.
But it's still a multi-team
There's multi
event.
teams and
it's a multi-team event,
and there's an event.
Yeah. So. Yep. So I believe Ball State plays Indiana State at 1:30 is when tip is. And then immediately following that game, 30 minutes following that game in the same arena, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Purdue plays Arizona. Talked about it. Both Arizona and Purdue have the longest active non-conference win streaks. One of those streaks is going to end.
I am very, very interested in this game because they have Arizona. They have the guards that can and should give.
Caleb Love's playing out of his mind.
Yeah, he's playing for the number 1 team in the country, and he's playing some of his best basketball.
Yeah.
Other than maybe down the stretch in the Final Four.
Right.
They're playing great. They have the guards who should give Purdue fits, and they've got what's his name, Umar Ballo down low, playing out of his mind.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome matchup, I think, against Edey.
Yeah, and they play so fast. I mean, they just boat raced Wisconsin.
Yep.
Which is why Purdue didn't move down to 3 because they didn't play well. They outperformed expectations on KenPom, and they moved down because Arizona just absolutely destroyed Wisconsin, made them look like some JV middle school team.
Yeah, it was bad.
So I think this game is going to be fascinating.
What interests me this week is Indiana being 7-point dogs to Kansas.
At home.
Correct. By 12:30 Saturday, Indiana was 7.5-point dogs to Michigan, won by 3. They were 7.5-point dogs to Auburn, lost by 30.
Yeah.
Now they're 7-point dogs to Kansas. Well, I think, not I think, Kansas is definitively a better team than Auburn.
Yeah.
So it
just depends on Auburn's probably a worse matchup. I think Auburn's probably a worse matchup, but I think Kansas is the better team.
Yeah.
You've got Hunter Dickinson coming back into Assembly Hall.
Feels like he's almost averaging double doubles, 20 and 20.
Yeah. It's like he's been he gained up, he leveled up, he evolved.
I mean, he's my dark
Self.
horse for National Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And it's not really a dark horse, I don't think. It is a dark horse because Edey is the clear front runner. It's Edey's to lose, but Dickinson being coached by an absolute gangster and Bill Self that's a scary combination.
So keys to win for Purdue is you've got to slow Arizona down somehow.
Yep.
And play your game.
Yep.
Don't speed up your offense because of how Arizona's playing. They're gonna want this game to be in the hundreds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they're playing fast, Edey just will not be able to keep up with Ballo. That dude gets out and runs.
Yeah.
Keys for Indiana.
Xavier Johnson playing.
Has to be back.
Yeah. Which I'm almost curious if a big reason Xavier Johnson has not been playing, because he's only been listed as questionable. Right. He's not listed as out. I think a lot of that has to do with this Kansas game. A lot of it's precautionary because the Kansas game is the big one. Winning in a neutral site against Arizona, or excuse me, against Auburn is one thing.
And they didn't think that they were going to lose to Auburn like that.
Right.
I think that they kind of got blindsided by Auburn. But yeah,
I agree.
Kansas, I mean, after that Auburn loss, like you have to break glass in case of emergency Xavier Johnson and pull him out.
Yeah.
They like Khalil Ware and Dickinson's going to be a great matchup. Get him running, get him, they can both shoot, they can both stretch the floor. Ware's just way more athletic.
Yeah.
So get Dickinson moving. The other thing that's probably the most important is crowd. Yep. Assembly Hall has to be turned to 11 the whole game.
Yep.
They can't, if Indiana gets down, they can't stop. They have to keep in it. Otherwise, it's going to be embarrassing. Valparaiso plays at home. Chicago State, they need that win. And IUPUI has a must-win game against Lindenwood.
Not against, you mean winning against Minnesota is not a must-win game?
Minnesota is interesting. They're 21-point dogs, so go get that win. I guess.
Yeah.
But anything else?
Not from this week. Again, like we said, it's a light week other than Saturday.
Yeah, everything.
16th.
Notre Dame and Georgetown could be interesting. Notre Dame needs to win that game, and Evansville needs to get back on the right side of things and beat Chicago. Evansville needs to beat Bellarmine at Bellarmine. I think it's at Bellarmine, so it's tough.
Like we said, if you've never watched a Bellarmine game,
watch it.
It's we're giving you a couple day heads up.
I don't know what else you could be doing around 4. I mean, you got 30 minutes till the Purdue game starts, probably.
That gives you, 10 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah,
maybe.
You got time. Tune into that.
Tune into that. Probably on ESPN Plus. Just tune in and just watch. Don't even watch. You don't even have to watch Evansville. Just watch Bellarmine.
Yeah.
Just experience what they have to offer. But talk about the games coming up this week. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the other 49 states.
Let's check in with those guys.
What's going on?
A lot's been going on, really. I mean, Xavier lost to Delaware this week. Weird. But then took down undefeated Cincinnati in the crosstown shootout. It's one of those rivalry games that, anything can happen.
Anyone can win on any given night.
Yeah.
Those two.
Lost to Delaware. It's weird, but never count out Sean Miller. He's a great coach. Gonna figure it out. They're gonna win some good games. That Cincinnati loss, or the Cincinnati losing, kind of sucks. Our undefeated teams are dropping like flies.
Yep.
Maybe I just want JMU to be the last one.
Oh yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
Illinois beats FAU in a phenomenal game. Like, that game was so up and down, just so fast, so good to watch. And then they go turn around and lose to Tennessee. They just let Tennessee dictate the game.
Yep. Happens.
But Illinois they look pretty good.
I'm impressed by how they're playing.
It's scary because
I'm not a big Underwood guy.
No.
To me, he's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
But hey,
it works.
Whatever he does in the locker room and on the court works.
I don't want him to be my coach, like the coach of my team I'm a fan of, because the things he says, like, you remember when he was talking about, they asked him about Terrence Shannon's leadership, and he's like,
yeah,
that's what I think. And I was like, okay, don't really like that, but
nope.
It's got to work for some people. They're going to be scary in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Watch out. I mean, Michigan State is not Michigan State, I guess. They're not that great.
Yeah.
So Illinois might be the team who can knock down Purdue a little bit, because I thought it was going to be Wisconsin. Then literally Wisconsin just dumped on Michigan State, and then they got dumped on by Marquette.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, they dumped on Marquette,
Michigan
and then
State
they got
and
dumped,
Marquette.
and then they got dumped on by Arizona by 25.
Yeah, so it's interesting. The Big Ten's weird. I think it's especially weird this year is because no one's playing like they should. Some teams are playing better than they should. Some teams are playing much worse than they should. Also, non-conference play. So
I think a lot of the teams are just figuring it out still.
Yeah.
Like Indiana clearly still figuring it out.
Yep.
Wisconsin felt they had it figured out. Michigan State definitely figuring it out. Iowa, dookie.
Yeah.
It's kind of dookie.
Yep.
They don't have any Murrays. They lost to Iowa State, which I expected to be close because it's a rivalry game.
Wasn't really that
Not
close.
even close at all.
Yeah. We had our season mid off to find out who's the most mid team, DePaul versus Louisville. You're a sicko if you watch this game.
Dude, that is way too flattering of a way to describe this game is to call it which team is mid. Dude, both of these teams are garbage.
Yeah.
If you watch Louisville press conferences, that's what gets me going. Yeah. Kenny Payne in press conferences.
Just his sound bites are just baffling. The things that he says.
Maybe he just talks like that because he knows he's not coming back next year.
Or he just talks like that to take attention away from how bad they are.
It's not working.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
He's gonna be like Magic Johnson. Not gonna be here. He's not gonna be there, and I don't think Stubbs is gonna be there at DePaul next year either. They both but there's not enough reason to fire them now. Like, it's not gonna get better.
Yeah.
It's not like you've got Brad Stevens on the bench buried behind the,
right.
Just,
yeah.
Yeah, like some Goodwill Hunting situation. You just found a coach somewhere. Like, he was here the whole time.
Yeah. No, they just need a clean house. Top to bottom of that staff.
It's sad.
For both teams. Yeah.
You never thought that you would think that DePaul is the favorite to beat Louisville. It just sounds wrong.
It sounds dirty.
And it was. Oklahoma beat Arkansas. Is nice.
Yep.
Again, that was a team that was supposed to be like really bad again. They were supposed to be bad, just like BYU. They both joined Oklahoma didn't join. About to leave. Yeah. But they're in this really gigantic Big 12. And they were picked, in the bottom with UCF was definitively 14th.
Yeah.
No one was picking anyone else, but they were down there and they're still undefeated. So
good for them.
Rock on, dude.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the Big Ten, Sharon. Just for a second. Penn State. Mike Rhodes now after Shrews left.
I think so. Sounds right.
And they were down 18 and they come back to beat Ohio State. Are you worried for Chris Holtman's job?
Yes. Not because Holtman's a bad coach. I just think because there's an expectation to win in Columbus, regardless of the sport. And if you're not winning, I think it's similar to Purdue or Indiana. If you're not winning, you gotta start fresh.
Yeah. And you would expect that people wouldn't care because it's a football school, but they do.
Yeah.
Because Holtman, it's a bad year. This year and last year are a bad year to not be good because your team's lost to Michigan, and now they're like, well, we got to have something good. Yeah. So then they look at basketball and they're like, we're not winning here either. What is this?
It's like Ohio State basketball is to Ohio State football what Indiana football is to Indiana basketball.
Yeah.
It's like the expectation isn't necessarily to be dominant.
Mm-hmm.
It's to just have a 500 record.
Right.
Make a tournament, make a bowl game.
Yeah.
And it's just not happening.
And it's like they were good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
When he first got there. I mean, they were a 2 seed and then they got beat by I can pull this out. They got beat by a Ivy League team. This team went on. They lost to Oral Roberts. That's who they lost to because Oral Roberts came in and beat them, and then they beat Florida. So you're like, we're a 2 seed. Yeah, we're a 2 seed. Oh, we lost to Oral Roberts. Oh, we won 2 or 3 Big Ten games last year. We just gave up an 18-point
lead.
Yeah, to Penn State, who's
also not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were supposed to be good. They've been pretty good this year, but that's just rough. I mean, I don't know that he's on the hot seat, but it's probably getting warm after last year. And
it's heating up for sure.
If he doesn't turn it around, it's going to be rough. Shout out to in Indiana.
Fort Wayne
Indiana,
guy.
yeah, Fort Wayne native.
Guy.
Keon Brooks Jr. He transferred out to Washington, got out there, and they just got a W over Gonzaga, and he had 17. So
good for him.
We like to see guys from Indiana.
We talked about the rivalry high school game, Fort Wayne Southside versus Fort Wayne Northside. Yep. Keon Brooks went to Fort Wayne Northside.
Yeah.
So kind of ties the front of the show to the end of the show here.
Good for him, man. I'm glad he got to go out and have some success. I wish he had gone to Indiana.
He was originally verbally committed to Indiana, right? And then decommitted. And
I'm not sure.
And then went to Kentucky and played at Kentucky for a few years.
It's the only commitment that I've ever been to in my life.
Oh yeah.
I just went. I
don't know.
I just like to support the community.
Yeah.
I just like to be there.
Absolutely.
And it was nice to see. He came back to his middle school and he committed, and everyone was whelmed. They were a little underwhelmed when he picked Kentucky, just because it's like you come back to your hometown, Fort Wayne, and you don't go to Indiana.
Yeah.
That kind of stinks.
Yeah.
Good for him, playing well.
We have a fantastic Saturday coming up.
Yeah. In addition to the great, games that we have in Indiana, we got, Indiana and Kansas, and we got Purdue, Arizona. We got some more games coming up. What do we have?
So we've got Friday night. Friday night kind of kicks off our great slate of 49 states teams playing. So Friday night got UConn versus Gonzaga. UConn's their non-conference schedule. It's crazy. Like, good for them.
Yeah,
they winning a natty and then doubling down.
Yeah.
I'd say by saying we're not done yet.
They played Indiana.
Yep.
Which we'll see how what kind of game that is. The Texas team that did lose to Louisville by 1, and then got absolutely destroyed by Marquette.
Mm-hmm. Still a good Texas program.
Yeah. Lost at Kansas by 4, beat North Carolina, and then plays Gonzaga.
Yep.
Those are some great games.
Yep. So Saturday, we've got Bama, who almost pulled it off against Purdue, playing number 10 Creighton. We've got number 6 Baylor playing who knows what, Michigan State.
A Michigan State team.
A Michigan State team.
I don't know. Tom Izzo might not claim them.
21 ranked Texas A&M playing number 3 Houston.
In-state matchup. Do you think the state of, I guess they'd be the state of football down there?
Yeah, state of football.
Do you think they're talking about that? There's a state of football, our sister podcast.
Maybe.
Down in Texas.
Let's find out.
We're talking about that matchup.
Number 16 Kentucky playing number 9 North Carolina. Got UCLA taking on Ohio State. Future Big Ten matchup.
Yeah.
And then 24 Clemson playing at Memphis, who Memphis just lost one of their players, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Their center got, I don't know, he hadn't played this year. He was waiting for a waiver, I believe.
Yeah, and it got denied.
So NCAA is doing NCAA things.
Yeah, but Memphis just got a pretty good win over somebody today, and I think they look really good. So if you're asking me, I think Clemson should probably be a little bit worried because Memphis did just beat A&M.
Yep, and have a little bit of momentum. So it'll be
What is that MTE called? Where it's UCLA and Ohio State and Kansas or Kentucky and North Carolina. They do it every year. It's not the Champions Classic. It's
Legends
like the
Classic?
other.
No.
Might be.
No.
I'll find it. It's interesting that Ohio State's in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
More recent success, but I think that game, Ohio State could be good. UCLA is in a down year. They're in a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if that game even ends up meaning anything. like if UCLA is competing for the Pac-12.
The Emerald Coast Classic?
Oh.
No.
It's something. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
I don't remember.
But I just don't know. If you see UCLA playing Ohio State like they do every other year, that could mean something. Like that usually has like
CBS Sports Classic.
Yes. So it normally means something in the grand scheme of things. Like UCLA has been, very, seeded very well recently.
I'm curious.
And so is Ohio State. So does it matter, or are these just two teams that do nothing and don't even make the tournament or barely make it?
Right. It'll be interesting to see how like you said, it's been an ongoing MTE that they do. Curious how it'll change with UCLA joining the Big Ten.
It's gonna have to,
because they typically don't have conference opponents playing.
Yeah, I mean they can't. They need to figure out a lot of stuff for this. See what's gonna go down, because I'm pretty sure in Maui next year, the Battle for Atlantis has multiple teams from one conference just because of conference shakeups. So it'll be weird. I don't know. Saturday's a loaded slate. It's picking up because college football is basically done.
Yep.
Saturdays are going to be pretty packed.
Yeah.
It's usually Tuesdays and Saturdays are the days.
Yeah.
So enjoy
the occasional Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. Enjoy your days off during the week as we get closer to Christmas, and then Saturday is going to be pretty busy. So tune in.
Lock in on the couch and watch some ball.
Yeah. That's all I got, man. Other than Notre Dame soccer.
Yeah, playing in the College Cup.
Yeah, so hope they win. I was hoping in-state team wins. Good for them. They won. I don't remember who they won against in the semis, but beat Indiana in the Elite Eight. So Indiana might lose to the eventual champion. We'll see.
De facto number 2.
Something like that. I mean, maybe if they beat the other teams in full time, then yeah.
Yeah, because Indiana lost in PKs like we saw last week. But the clock is showing quadruple zeros. So time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We'll see you next week. And remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.